you won't have two nickels to rub together. You may have a whole pocket full of $1-million bills to rub together, but they won't buy anything. Now, after World War I, they had this big conference in which they brought together all the people involved in the war to have a settlement and a signing of the armistice with Germany. On one side of the table was Paul Warburg. On the other side of the table was his brother Max Warburg. In total, there were 117 of these false Jews, as I prefer to call them. And we would not know about this except one of the guys there, a guy by the name of Benjamin Friedman, who was the bagman for Henry Morgenthau Sr. He became a Christian, and he decided he could not live with the secrets that he held, and he started talking about what had transpired, what the real game plan was, who was involved in it, and what their plans were for our future. An unseemly plan for our future. Much of that was done with these, what you call false flag operations. A false flag operation is where you go in and pretend to be somebody else, do something wrong, so that the people that you attack think, hey, it was those people that did it to me, when it really wasn't those people that did it to you. We find that a whole lot of that is done by these false Jews. For example, the Lusitania was sunk to start World War I. Now, Germany had taken out advertisements in the New York newspapers and said very specifically that they were carrying munitions aboard that Lusitania. Don't go on it. Well, while they were doing that, they ended up sending off some of that ships and with 128 American passengers aboard it. And it wasn't Germany, it was Great Britain that sunk that ship to suck us into that war. They were having trouble. See, Germany was already winning. And they didn't like the idea at all. And so these characters went over to the King of England and said to the King of England, now, you don't have to surrender to Germany. If we can bring America in on your side, if we can cause America to start fighting your battles for you, would you support a homeland in Palestine for us? And the King of England was, what do I do? Do I surrender, or do I agree to let somebody else have that home? Oh, yeah, we'll support that. So in November of 1917, the King of England sent a letter called the Balfour Declaration to Lord Rothschild, whom he called the most eminent Jew. I think he should have called him the most eminent false Jew, because the real Jewish people have absolutely nothing to do with this New World Order, this aggrandizement of power and the passion to dominate others. This is all among these Khazar warriors that only pretended to embrace Judaism in 741 AD. We find that as time went on, that we run across some of these things that these characters have done. And it was in May of 1919 at Dusseldorf, Germany, that the Allied forces obtained a copy of the Communists' Rules of Revolution. Now, you got to remember that communism was their front, too. When we find out the names of some of these characters, you realize, yes, this web is more intertangled than what you might realize. And we find that some of the characters, like Karl Marx, his real name was Kissel Moses Mordecai Levy. Karl Marx was just an assumed name. And he worked with people over there like Lenin, whose real name was Ulanov, and the commissar of the Red Army and Navy, called Leon Trotsky. His real name was Lev Davidovich Bronstein. And when you find out how all these people have been pulling together to foment so many of these things going on here, you should be forewarned. Because this is not just accidental history. This is conspiracy. People working together to do wrong. And by definition, a conspiracy is just two or more people planning in secret to do something wrong. And by that definition, there must be thousands, millions, maybe even billions of conspiracies going on all the time. But you mentioned something about what's going on. Oh, that's one of them conspiracy nuts. We've all been vilified by that label. Conspiracy nut is kind of like anti-Semite. It's just a buzzword to say, they're onto us. They know who we are. They know what we're up to. Let's jump on them and vilify them, and that's the way they operate, through vilification. And if vilifying isn't enough, they'll trump up some charges. And if that's not enough, they send in the wet agents to spill some of your blood. Well, in Dusseldorf, Germany, the communist revolution, rules of revolution came to light, and in 1946, a U.S. Attorney General obtained a copy of the same rules from a known member of the Communist Party. And today, these same rules are in effect, and I want you to compare these concepts with modern occurrences. There's three of them, ABC. A, corrupt the young. Get them away from religion. Get them interested in sex, make them superficial, and destroy their ruggedness. We sure have a lot of wimps today. A lot of these young kids coming up just don't seem to have what it takes anymore. But they've been through the public fool system. They've been nurtured by their television. And it's hard to think anymore. It used to be when you went to school, they taught you how to think. Now you go to school, they teach you what to think. B, get control of all means of publicity. Thereby, and there's 7 parts to that, get people's minds off their government by focusing their attention on athletics, sexy books, plays, and other trivialities. And boy, have we become trivial. 2, divide the people into hostile groups by constantly harping on controversial matters of no importance. Number 3, destroy the people's faith in their natural leaders by holding the latter up to contempt, ridicule, and disgrace. 4, always preach true democracy, but seize power as fast and as ruthlessly as possible. Number 5, by encouraging government extravagance, destroy its credit, produce fear of inflation with rising prices and general discontent. That one has really been implemented with vigor. We're playing welfare Santa Claus to the whole world. Now take a look at Israel alone. We send $15,500 for every man, woman, and child. That's a lot of money. Sometimes I think some of us wish, gee, I wish my government would give me that much each year. Now that's only the above board welfare. There is a sub rosa welfare. For example, That's our only friend in the Middle East. Therefore, we got to have a base over there to help